Hello, fellow information competency and research skills friends. Welcome to Chapter 10, Guidelines for Writing a First Draft. Anna and I are here to make this information a little more fun and more memorable. Let's get started. Writing a literature review might be like taking a stroll through the park for some of you. For others, it might be like climbing Mount Everest. And for most of us, it's somewhere in between. Luckily, this class is giving us many tools we need to support us on this journey. Today, we're going to focus on important tips and information for writing a first draft. From this starting point, we can assume that you already know your topic. You've researched all the literature, made careful notes, analyzed the details, you've noted patterns, relationships, strengths, weaknesses, and maybe even some gaps in the literature. You have organized notes and a detailed writing outline. With all of those things set, you are now ready to begin writing the first draft of your literature review. But before you begin writing, let's take a few minutes and go through all 15 helpful guidelines from Chapter 10. Guideline 1. Begin by identifying the broad problem area, but avoid global statements. Go wide, but not too wide. You'll want to begin with an introduction that identifies the broad problem related to your topic. Guideline 2. Early in the review, indicate why the topic being reviewed is important. You'll want to share why the topic of your literature review is important, and you'll want to do this early on in your writing. By early, the authors mean in the first paragraph. Guideline 3. Distinguish between research findings and other sources of information. Be clear when presenting research findings. You'll want to distinguish between personal opinions, anecdotal evidence, and research. Here are some key words and phrases that indicate personal points of view, such as speculated or has been suggested that. These are different from statements introducing research-based findings, such as these examples here. Quick question. What if there's very little research on a topic? If this is the case, consider making a general statement to indicate the lack of research. Guideline 4. Indicate why certain studies are important. There are various reasons why a study might be considered important. For example, it could be because it represents a pivotal point in the development of an area of research. Regardless of the reason, be sure your review makes this clear to the reader. Guideline 5. If you are commenting on the timelines of a topic, be specific in describing the time frame. Basically, this means don't leave the reader wondering when facts or information in your review took place. Rather than using general statements, be sure to include specific numbers, percentages, and years. Guideline 6. If citing a classic or landmark study, identify it as such. You'll want to identify these studies because they represent pivotal points in the historical development of the published literature. They can also be the original source of key concepts or terminology used in subsequent literature. Guideline 7. If a landmark study was replicated, mention that and indicate the results of the replication. Landmark research is often duplicated in other studies and often with other variables. If this is the case, be sure to mention this and indicate if the replications were successful. And now let's all take a deep breath together. We are halfway there. We have 8 more guidelines to go.